Hello, we are live. We're live. Here we are. Okay, great. We are currently sat in our studio space, finally, here at Pinewood Studios. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Just double checking in to make sure that all the audio is all right, making sure everything's okay there. Natalie, do you want to say hello?
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today, especially if you're in the UK. It's such a nice and sunny day, so thank you for taking the time.
It's a really sunny day.
It's so sunny!
It's sunny, it's hot.
It's hot in here as well.
Yeah.
It's super hot in here.
Yeah, we also have Claire there in the middle. Claire,
Hello,
say hello to
everybody.
everyone. Yep. Great, so we're here in our cinema space, socially distanced from one another, and we have in the chat room currently, well not in the chat room, we have lots of people in the chat room with us right now, but we actually have via our amazing Google Hangouts, our 3 of 4 interviewees today. We've got Beth, we have Simon and we have Philip. We'll be crossing over to them very shortly, but first things first, we want to do a big shout out to Rona. Rona, if you're in the chat and you haven't clicked the Google Links Hangout link yet, please click that immediately and join the chat, because you're invited to be here as a video participant. So click the Hangout link and actually join us. We sent you all the information. We've seen you in the chat room just now. Maybe the wires have been crossed. If you're unable to join us right now, we'll have you on next week. Not a problem at all. But you might be missing out. I don't know. Here we go. These guys seem fairly knowledgeable. We've just been testing for the last half hour, and we've been hearing lots of really interesting stories coming up from these guys. So, and we've known them for quite a while. So we've known Beth for a while. We've known Philip, and we're getting to know Simon today. So this is all going to be quite interesting. Just a little bit of stuff first of all. I just want to quickly switch over to the Facebook Network members page. If you guys want to be on one of our upcoming streams, where we actually do this every Wednesday, where this is episode 1 of our future workshops, our future career road mapping interview / workshops. If you want to be part of this, then you need to be a Liftoff member, a Liftoff professional member. To do that, the information is at the top of the screen there. Become a Liftoff Global Network member. Just go to www.liftoff.network and sign up for a professional membership. And then when you do that, you'll be sent to our Facebook page, which is a Facebook group. It's a secure group. It's a private group for just Liftoff members to kind of get together and to network and stuff. And this is how we find you guys for this. So this is how we got Simon today, how we got Beth, and how we got Philip. So check it out. Go to www.liftoff.network and become a member today. And we'll see you every Wednesday, and we'll see you every Friday. Wednesday for our career road mapping interviews like today, and Friday for our workshops for indie filmmakers. So without further ado, keep saying without further ado, here we go. We have our guys, here they are. We have Simon in the top left, we've got Philip in the top right, and we have Beth just underneath the two of them there. So hi guys, how's it all going?
Cool.
Great.
Great.
Very good.
Great, so who are we going to chat to first about this?
So we have Simon lined up first.
Oh, Alexa's telling us. Alexa thinks that we're talking to her. Alexa, we're not talking to you. She's getting left out. Made to feel left out.
She knows
It's
more
the
than I do.
AIs, Beth. The AIs are trying to take over us.
Yeah, they
Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So let's just do quick introductions first of all of each of you first, and then we'll go in with the first one that we'll be talking to today. If you'd like to start, Simon, then we'll move over to Philip and then Beth.
Sure. My name's Simon King. I own a production company called Clearstream Entertainment, which was named after the cottage that I was born in England. I'm based on the West Coast in Oregon, West Coast of the United States in Oregon. And we are very driven here by narrative stories that definitely have a tale to tell, dialogue and character development over action and green screen, let's put it that way. I have degrees in mathematics, which seems like an odd combination for making films. Started making films as a child. My father was in a fairly important British war film, and he had an old Bolex camera, and I made my first films when I was probably 6 or 7, and made some horrible commercials in the 90s that luckily no one will ever be able to find unless you're trying to buy carpet. And beyond that, I had in the past drifted in and out while making my living in other industries, but now film is my and has been for a number of years, my where I've landed, and very, very happy with it.
Great.
Simon, you sparked my interest there by saying that your father was in one of your films. What was the film?
The Dam Busters,
Oh, amazing.
Whoa.
filmed
Serious?
at Elstree Studios.
Yeah, nice. Not too far from
And
here.
okay, I have to add this. So, the Dam Busters, many people aren't going to know. It's about a bouncing bomb that was invented during World War II by Sir Barnes Wallis. And my father was the chief model maker for Sir Barnes Wallis during the war. And the only the only model of the bouncing bomb is sitting in my living room.
Whoa.
So,
That's amazing.
which I'm sure the RAF would love to get their hands on, but they're not going to. So,
Well, Ben Pullman, the other co-founder of Liftoff, his father is actually a wing commander from the RAF. Well, wing commander retired, so he would love to hear this story. That's amazing stuff. Yeah. Great, awesome, cool. So, Philip, tell us all about you. Tell us all about you right now.
In search of a way to find myself in high school, I took a class called Speech and Drama in my senior year, having no idea what that was, but it meant that I didn't have to take another year of English. Sorry, English people, but I don't like to study the same subject every year like we have to do in the schools here. So that meant that I could do drama, and I ended up being very good at it. The best advice that I learned from that is you have no idea where your talents are. You need to try it, and you might be surprised. Well, I was very surprised. And in that year, Dr. King was assassinated, and Mr. Byrne, the drama teacher that pulled me into this whole world, called me up that night and said that I was delivering the I Have a Dream speech in first period tomorrow. The whole nation is burning up, and we're going to start back in school. Sounds kind of like the COVID situation. Yeah. So I spent all night long studying the speech, and to make that story short, I discovered as I was delivering that speech to everybody in the high school, I discovered that performance is powerful.
Absolutely.
It can do amazing things. And so that's how I got into the arts. I've been making art and attempting to act for more than a half century. I've done many, many things in the theater. I moved to Southern California to be with my granddaughter and decided that I'd run over to LA and audition for something. I didn't expect anything since all of my colleagues had told me how hard it was to make it in LA. And it blew up. In my first 5 years, I did 900 productions and appearances. It just blew up. And the reason is not because I'm talented. The reason is because there's amazing opportunity in Tinseltown, especially if you are a little bit independent-minded. And I'm extremely independent-minded. And so consequently, I was able to take advantage and continue to take advantage of those opportunities until this COVID thing hit. I don't know whether I'm going back to work. I actually don't know if I'm going back to Hollywood. We will see. But my experience is that Hollywood will be horrible at protecting its workers, and I'm 70 years old. I probably can't risk going back to work. Another subject. So part of what I've done, I'm an actor, and I've been spending my whole life trying to figure out how to just work as an actor. And the first time that was possible was when I came to LA. Because of the independent nature of my approach, I have found myself doing many things to get my acting, create acting opportunities for myself, as well as to get my acting seen. by others. So consequently, I have started multiple film festivals, indie film festivals, and multiple ways to get myself out there without counting on my agent or my manager to make me a star.
Sure.
I've been very happy in this new industry, and are hoping that we can do what Simon was talking about before we went live, hoping that we independent artists can find a way to take advantage of the fact that everybody is at home looking for something to see. I'm hoping that we can grab this bull by the horns and finally make independent film something that people want to see and are eager to take into their homes.
Awesome. Great stuff. What a brilliant way to end that. That's really cool. I completely agree with you. Great stuff, Philip.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to hearing some more about those opportunities that you took on, and when we talk to you individually a bit later on.
Definitely. And Beth?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so my name is Bethany Edgars. I'm the co-founder of a speculative media practice called Info Studio. And I started this practice with my partner to bring together my training in anthropology and social science and his training in architecture. And together we use film as one of our media, also other time-based media and 3D environments, to create speculative future worlds where we look at the implications of a new technology or a new social condition, economic condition, political proposition. In the past, we've created a couple of short films, like if we're talking about stuff in the film space, which have been successful in sort of narrative film festivals and also architecture and design, more art space. And we're currently trying to branch out and use film a little bit more broadly. So we're currently developing a narrative anthology of short films, which look at the impact of particular types of technology, extended reality technologies, how they're changing experiences of human intimacy. We've got a concept for a feature in the work, as well as other projects which are not explicitly film or entertainment based, but are more research or conceptually driven. So we're sort of trying to bring together entertainment and narrative with more academic and research driven agendas.
Great.
Wonderful.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Great. And Ronya, can we have Ronya come through? Are you available for us, Ronya? Can you arrive? Unmute yourself. You click on the microphone on your screen here for us. Okay, we'll wait for you to figure that out and we'll move on to our first person. I'm sure we'll say hi to Ronya in a second. If not, we'll have Ronya join us next week. Cool, so who's first in the list here?
Let's continue the conversation with Simon.
Yeah, okay, great stuff. So yeah, go ahead, girls. Let's see what Simon's all about.
I thought I was sorry. I thought I was the girl. I was interested.
Not today.
No. Great. So, what has been the biggest challenge to date that you've faced whilst working within the industry?
Two. One of them, I think every filmmaker knows, and that's financing.
Yeah.
The projects that we are taking on are becoming a little more grand, and therefore we move out of the sort of realm of friends and family and have to look at deeper pockets of people who actually, can write the checks to get bigger films made.
Yeah.
I am fortunate that I do know some of those folks, and but it's always, a bit of a swallow to go over there and say, hey, I got this great idea, let's talk about it, and here's how I can possibly help you make some extra money out of this on the end run. So that's number one. Everyone knows that. Financing films, since the beginning of making films, has always been the number one issue, sadly, but it's the way it is.
Yeah.
The other one that I struggle with, and I may make some enemies here, is dealing with what we have here in the States, the Screen Actors Guild. because just a very simple thing. If you want to make a film with a union talent and you want to make that film outside of the US, then you must be under the highest level of Screen Actors Guild's budgets. That's not the problem, but they also leave
to make it out. Did you say make it outside of the U.S. That's required?
Yes. If I make a film, John Goes to School, and I hire Brad Pitt and I film it in California, I can film under a modified low budget, a low budget, et cetera, et cetera. There's various agreements that you can film out. Now, if I move that film to England, I have to be under the full SAG theatrical agreement. And of course, the other problem that comes in is then I say, well, all right, I'm going to hire Brad Pitt or whatever, but then I want to hire 10 British actors who aren't in SAG. And they go, well, we need to find some SAG actors to play those roles. And I just find that headache to be uninteresting. Yeah. Because I would rather get rid of Brad Pitt and go to England and get rid of all the problems.
Well, you would rather just have the actors that could do the work the best, and that's
exactly.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly.
It's
and I looked the other day.
That blocks you out of the name actor, which is going to be helpful in getting the money to do the film as well as selling the film. Am I correct?
Yes and no, because there's let's say 100 A-list actors that if we put our heads together we could list out who they are. I'm picking on Brad Pitt, but there's one of them. There are 10,000 A- actors or B actors who should be A actors because they have the skill. They can tell the story. And I am never interested in what name can I get. I want to know who is the best person for this role. I don't care if no one's ever heard of them before, or I don't care if they're, at the top of their game.
Yeah.
It's who tells the story, who is the character.
Of course.
And it's never been a matter of money. It's never been like, oh, well, okay, with the exception of having to pay somebody millions. But, whether they're a no-name actor, I'll still pay them a great SAG rate, even if they're not SAG, so I can sort of make bookkeeping easy, just say this is what everyone gets paid. But go after the characters. Go after the talent that portray the character.
Just to come in here as devil's advocate quickly, Simon, and I hope you don't mind me doing this.
No.
When it comes down to the bigger budgets and the money that you're dealing with the people that you mentioned just now, the likelihood in the marketplace that we've noticed, the likelihood of getting a theatrical distribution deal using known actors is far greater than using actors that aren't known. So what's been your kind of experience with distribution and with dealing with producers at a distribution level when it comes to things like getting named actors, getting actors that bring an audience automatically, etc., etc.?
Okay. First of all, if we were having this conversation in about, 6 months?
Yeah.
Distribution is going to look entirely different.
100%.
I hope so.
Oh, 100%.
Entirely different.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
if we do our job, it is.
Yeah, I would hate to be a theater owner right now because what are you going to do with that space?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and we were talking prior to the event here that just started that there needs to be another form of distribution. And for many of your viewers, they would be too young, but years and years and years ago, some important big name Hollywood types got tired of the studio system and they came up with their own studio called United Artists. That is the sort of impetus we need right now, is for a bunch of people to come together and say, we need a distribution network that is not just a name that says, oh, Joe Smith Distribution, and really doesn't have any. It needs to get the distribution and allow the consumer to flip through their channels, because that's where all this viewing is going to take place, and decide, I want to see this, I want to see this, I want to see this, and not be locked into what is in the theater right now.
Definitely.
I'm not sure. Is it a channel flipping type of situation at the moment? Because if you're a non-television based viewer, like if you're streaming content and there's a proliferation of streaming services, then you either get marketed something directly like on your homepage based upon sort of algorithmic customer preferences,
Right.
or you
Right.
look for something specifically because there's been a non-film based marketing campaign behind it, so you know to look for Game of Thrones or Westworld or whatever. So I don't think like the idea that consumers are just going to stumble upon content by channel flipping, I'm not sure
Fair
how
enough.
relevant that is.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's probably a bad use of words on my part, because all of this is going to boil down to, you still need to be able to market your product to your customers.
Makes sense.
That avenue has to be there. I would hate to think someone's just flipping around and finding something I made.
My sense, Simon, is that it doesn't have to be there. We have to create it.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. We have
to not wait for Disney to create it for us.
Yep.
We have to create it.
Yep.
My sense is that we're setting on product that the masses actually want to see, but they don't know how to get to it.
Yep. No, it's and that sadly takes money, because you can't market yourself against the big boys unless you've got some way to have people find you because you market.
Maybe since the big boys don't have any theaters anymore, maybe we don't have to compete against it.
Well,
that may be extreme, but
no. As I say, I think the next couple of years, starting whenever we come out of this current mess, is going to be interesting. I mean, this business, no matter how far you go back, from silent pictures to sound pictures to where we are today, it has reinvented itself over and over and over and over again. And I'd like to think that the distribution aspect of it is ready for a reinvention. And that's going to make a difference for everyone who's listening, and everyone who either is an actor because they're going to get their work seen, is a filmmaker because they're going to have opportunity to get their films out there, or is the viewing public because they're going to say, wow, there's actually good films out there that I didn't know about, because the only ones I know about are at Regal Cinemas or wherever.
So something that we say every week in our live workshop, Simon, is that we always tell filmmakers to be the audience that filmmakers want to have. We always say, we always ask filmmakers, how many festivals have you attended this year? How many films by unknown film directors have you watched online this year? How much content do you consume by your peers? Is there any sort of advice that you would say, or any platforms that you would suggest that filmmakers like yourself that would be watching this should go to actually engage with the type of work that you're creating?
That's a tough one. I completely agree with you. I'm trying to, off the top of my head, trying to think what those platforms are. My wife is Russian, and although I sound like a complete moron when I attempt to say anything in Russian, we watch a lot of Russian films, and that means we have to dig around to find them. We have a couple of Russian channels and whatnot, but to me, going out there and doing the digging, doing the research, and finding those new channels is interesting, because the stuff I see, the way that stories are told in Russia is different than how we tell stories in America, and it's fascinating.
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
The Americans and the Western, there's the Anglo-Saxon way of storytelling, isn't it? That we kind of follow that. It's an Anglo-Saxon format, I think. The beginning, middle, and an end. The protagonist, the antagonist. It's all very much from that kind of Central European storytelling base, I guess. One which is quite actually close to us that we get a lot in the and Natalie will probably agree with this because Natalie's actually half Norwegian, is the Scandinavian type of storytelling,
Sure.
which again, the Nordic noir and all that sort of stuff, it's really great to kind of delve into that. Do you find that watching the Russian content, do you find that that's actually aided you as a filmmaker and helped you see storytelling in a very different way? And has that kind of like worked into your actual work itself?
Yes.
In what way?
Well, because you mentioned the bit, this idea of storytelling having a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah.
I've always believed, and the watching foreign films has helped me solidify this belief, that there's a beginning, a middle, and an endish sort of an
End-ish.
endish. I would love people to finish watching something I've made and then have the discussion. Well, wait, what do you think happened there? Wait, why did they do this? And why did she say that?
Yeah.
And what's there? Rather than just, I watched, Spider-Man. Okay, let's go get pizza.
There's not a lot of ambiguity in Spider-Man.
No, and I love the idea of ambiguity. I love the idea that, it doesn't always have to be the beautiful person who wins in the end. Maybe sometimes the bad guy does get away with it, and maybe sometimes, people die and the story's horrid at the end by American standards. But it's life, right? And it's interesting. It's fascinating.
Who's your favorite filmmaker, Simon?
Oh God. Well, if I could write like Richard Curtis, I would be very, very happy. Four Weddings and a Funeral, Notting Hill, et cetera, et cetera.
Your genre then, the comedy rom-com era?
No. I mean, Alfred Hitchcock, Christopher Nolan. I probably tend to lean toward and any number of Russian directors whose names I can't pronounce. I can't. I don't know if it's a filmmaker or just I like stories.
Yeah.
Real stories. People went on and on about Avengers Endgame when, it's the best film ever made, which just makes me want to get very angry. Okay. Best film ever made, as far as I'm concerned, is Chinatown. End of story.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic story.
Yeah.
The characters are perfectly drawn. The dialogue is there. I could watch that time and time again.
Have you read the book Screenwriting by Sid Field?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have so many books back here.
The Chinatown reference. He references Chinatown all the way through it. It's great.
How can you not? It's
an amazing film.
But then again, I also watch Love Actually probably 30 times. We watch it every year at least once.
Wow.
Because I love how the characters interplay with each other and the stories mix. And it's wonderful storytelling.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. It's really good. Great. Okay, Simon. Well, just I guess one more question from me, and I guess we'll move to Claire. Claire, have you got a question for Simon?
Yeah, we've got a question from the chat room actually.
A question from the chat room. That takes precedent. Here we go.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
it was kind of going back to when we were talking about the platforms and how you were sort of saying that in 6 months' time, this sort of landscape is going to change completely. But S.A. Hakarian has asked, do any of you, or do you, Simon, have any experience or insights when you're trying to approach these platforms, like Netflix, HBO? Have any of you sort of tried to approach them with anything, or any stories you can tell?
We have some, I have to be a little careful here. We have discussions underway with Netflix on something. And everyone is so frightened of these big companies. And, they either go at them thinking, I have the best product ever made and they'd be fools not to buy it from me, which is the wrong attitude. Or they hide themselves in a closet and think, I can't go talk to Netflix. They'll never want to hear from me. It's a process. It is absolutely a process of getting yourself through the door, saying the right things at the right time, and making people feel comfortable that you're able to deliver.
So mindset taken into account then. So once you've sort of got the confidence or the approach, how are you able to tell us how you actually went about that? Was it from a producer's perspective that you approached them, or the writer? Can you tell us what sort of, as you say,
No,
getting that first bit?
We produced them. We went them through a producer's perspective, because I think that's the level they're more comfortable talking at, and they realize that producers are interested in the whole package. You know, they want to say, we can put something together that Netflix or Amazon or Apple TV, that you can feel confident will not fall apart at the last minute, will not be an undeliverable product. So you do have to come, it's show business is business. You know, I said this earlier, and I'm absolutely not the first person ever to say that. But you have to have someone who's comfortable talking the business side of show business, which is not necessarily a director, which is not necessarily a writer, and which is not necessarily an actor. It's someone who can sit down and understand the spreadsheets and
Yeah, absolutely. They detach themselves from the creative side.
Yeah, it's, you know, and that's why I would tell, I think, so let me be more positive with this. Young filmmakers, or old, doesn't matter, filmmakers need to have this network of friends, not just network of acting friends, not just network of writing friends, but they need to know business people. They need to know someone who can tell them, well, this is how you have to present yourself. This is how you need to, you know, go out there.
Funny you should mention that, Simon, because that's what we are. Liftoff are definitely that. We check out our videos. We absolutely are. We've just finished a series. The girls here did they did the Cannes Film Market, the Marché de Film,
Right.
and did a report back on what they discovered and how things were. What was the name of the workshop?
An introduction to film markets.
Introduction to film markets. Yeah. So it's exactly what you say, Simon. I couldn't agree with you more. It's a gap in the filmmakers positioning, because they obviously want to get themselves into the business arena. It needs to become a business in order for them to make money from their creation. So it's really important for them to have people that are on their side that understand the spreadsheets, like you say, that understand the film markets, that understand who's who, what's what, which places to apply for funding, which places to apply for the tax credits, which places to do this, and all that. There's so many different things there. It's a massive minefield, and even down to things like simple marketing and stuff like that. It can elude many filmmakers and screenwriters. You're absolutely right. Yeah,
and
definitely.
the tax credits, the next project that we have going out here,
Yeah.
we are aiming it to be filmed in Romania. Why?
Oh, yeah.
Because
45.
they have 45% tax
45% in
rebate.
Romania,
You know?
yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not even a tax rebate. It's a 45% cash
Yeah,
rebate.
it's a cash
So-
rebate. Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, if you go over there, you know, just simple numbers. Let's say you spend $100,000, $45,000 they're going to put back in your pocket.
Not many
makes a lot
filmmakers
of
know
sense
this.
right there.
Absolutely, not many filmmakers know about this at all. And the only way you can really discover it is if you actually go to a film market and see the stands, country after country after country. Even Catalonia has their own stand. The Basque country in Spain have their own stands. All of the Greek islands have their own individual tax incentives.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's cash in your pocket for making your film.
Some countries will do anything. They want you there.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yep.
other countries, or let's you know, the United States is really 50 different countries when it comes to film rebates, and some of them,
Michigan was pretty good for a while, wasn't it? I think. I know Michigan had a good one. Natalie, were you going to say something
Yeah, I
then?
was going to say, when we were at Berlinale this year, Malta was pretty high. I think it was over 40% again.
Berlinale, the European film market at Berlinale.
Yes,
that runs tandem with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So Malta was...
Malta was the biggest.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting. So the funny thing is that there's so many amazing ideas that are out there, that are in filmmakers' minds, that are in screenwriters' minds. If they kind of like went to a film market, they could kind of shift their ideas to work within the paradigm of where their finance is actually going to be more likely to be made. I know that the island nation of Okinawa has an amazing film festival. They also have a fantastic film incentive scheme. And if you go there to film, they like lay out the red carpet for you. We've had like two people that we screened with us at Tokyo Liftoff last year have filmed their next features at Okinawa off the basis of the recommendations that we gave them, and they're having a brilliant time. I know that there's been a few issues with COVID, but they've obviously paused the production, but they're saying that it's going really, really well.
And I one last thing on that. I don't want to take up too much time.
No probs.
The reason filmmakers should be interested is because the average filmmaker doesn't have the wallet to write the check to get their bigger project made. But if they can go to their investor and say, if you give me X, I can return 45% of X
Guaranteed.
almost immediately, just like that. And so now, rather than being, just to use numbers, rather than being at risk for $100,000, you're now at risk for $55,000. Well, that's a little bit of an easier sell.
Yeah. Ronya's just asked in the comments section. She's saying, "What if I move the film to Africa?" Well, Ronya, I have to say, there's a lot of countries in Africa, and each and every one of them have their own incentives for giving you tax credits and rebates for you filming there. A really great example as to why these countries do it and why these areas do it. You just have to say Lord of the Rings. That's it. Lord of the Rings, the biggest advert for New Zealand ever.
Yeah, the
And
tourism.
it's the reason why. It's all about Lord of the Rings. Oh, we got Barak from Turkey. Hey, Barak, how you doing, man? And S.A. Harakainen. Hakarainen. I love that name. How do you pronounce it, Natalie?
I don't know.
Greetings, S.A. Good to see you, man. All right, cool. So let's move over to Phillips. Nice talking to you, Simon. I really want to know where the plans are, what's happening next. Let's get you on another one of these in 10 episodes from now. We'll have you back on, and we'll find out what's going on, and we'll see where you're at after everything.
Hopefully from Romania.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be
That would
wicked.
be very cool.
Yeah, nice one.
That would be
Perfect.
even better.
Yeah, it's great to know about these tax incentives for different countries. It's really cool. All right, Philip, tell us everything about you right now. Go.
I wanna respond to that question about getting access to the Netflix and such that came through the chat.
Yeah.
We gotta work that stuff, and we gotta work it better. Yeah, but we also have to create some new paradigm. And I think we've got a much better opportunity to succeed therein. Who is we? Independent film. I think we've got a better opportunity to succeed there more often than the chasing of the Netflix and such.
Yeah.
Their purpose is really quite different from what artists' purpose are. And I think that's part of the reason why it's so hard to negotiate with them, because we're thinking that their purpose, that their goal is the same as ours. And it just is not. It just is not.
We heard about a film.
I
film that was
dream
sold.
of us doing, I'm sorry?
No, go carry on, Philip. Sorry, I interrupted. Carry on, please.
I dream of us doing what the hip-hop artists did. They started with selling CDs because that was the technology that was available. They started selling CDs out of the trunks of their cars.
Yeah.
They established from that, they started there, they established the most powerful music in the world, where Netflix now has to go to them. They created all of these independent labels because because Capitol Records wouldn't let them in. Nobody's interested in that stuff, right?
Yeah.
They created their own, and they found ways to deliver it to their audience. And the majors eventually jumped on the bandwagon. Why did the majors jump on the bandwagon? It was not because they were interested in the art. They're not interested in hip-hop art today. They did it because they could see there could be some money made in this. And I believe that we have already created enough. Forget going out and spending $100,000 to create another one. I believe we have already created enough CDs, Phil, that if we were concentrating on selling our films out of the trunk of our cars, it's not out of the trunk of our cars, it's a different technology now, right?
Yeah, of course.
If we
These are great metaphors.
concentrated on that,
Yeah.
a lot, continuously, I'm not saying make bad art, but go on and make the art, get it finished, and then push hard on literally selling the art directly to the people that are interested in the art. I believe that we would be amazed how many folk are willing to buy our CD out of the trunk.
Yeah.
Once that gets going strong, Netflix will be knocking on our door, and we probably will turn them down because we already have our distribution set up. What do we need Netflix for?
So is this a different platform?
Now that might sound radical, but it sounded radical when the rappers were doing it back in the '60s. It was radical then.
Yeah. So Claire just asked a couple of questions there, saying what the back of the car would actually look like, the trunk itself. It's interesting because I do think that back of the trunk already kind of exists, but it's not being pushed enough by
it
anyone
absolutely
really.
exists. We're using it right now.
Yeah, YouTube.
We're literally using it right now.
Yeah, definitely. I guess we've got to. I guess
this is accessible. We don't need to put together $100,000 to do this session that we're doing right now. Guess what? Guess how much money I spent to do this? Zero.
Yeah.
Zero. Now, I had to do a little setting up my little background and all that kind of stuff, but I spent nothing. And it's no telling how many people
I'd like to say the same for us,
It's
but
no
unfortunately,
telling.
equipment's expensive. Oh, that's awesome, Philip. So, Philip, tell us.
I think the CD already exists.
Yep.
And I think the trunk already exists.
We just have to bring
But two problems exist.
Yeah.
One,
Yeah.
we, the artist. I think it is the artist. I don't think it's some going out and buying some manager or some business person.
Yeah, sure.
That's not what the rappers did. I think the problem is not that the new CD doesn't exist. I think it's that we don't recognize it as having worth.
Sure.
We recognize it exists, but we don't recognize that it has worth, one, and two, we're not using it. We're not pushing hard to pull that CD out of the trunk. And it's partly because, we're artists and, we don't want to sell ourselves and all that kind of stuff. Well, we'll never get anywhere.
How about a fishing analogy, though? Let me try this. If I go fishing and in a stream, or for that matter, the ocean, whatever, and I know that there's a big fish out there, right? And it's a tasty big fish, and it's going to take care of my family if I can catch that fish.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also plenty of smaller fish that if I get a few of those small fish, I can still feed my family. I'm not going to be unhappy if I land the big fish. It's going to be more work and I struggle and et cetera, et cetera. But if I come home with 2 or 3 small fish and the family are fed, hey, cool, I'll go back the next day and try and get that big fish.
And guess what, Simon? While you're collecting those little fish, the big fish is still out there.
That's
You
right.
can still go after it.
That's what I'm saying. Go, you throw your worm in the water and whoever bites, great.
I love the film Big Fish.
There we
But,
go.
what we have to
Tim
do
Burton.
is be careful with the judgment that comes behind the big and the small.
Yeah.
Both of them feed you. And
but
my
you-
sense
you
is that
can
we're
sort of-
thinking, oh, well, if you all you can do is to get a little fish, then you must not be nothing.
Yeah.
Hey, you can land the big fish and throw it back if you want. No one's telling you you got to keep it. And sometimes those big old fish are not as delicious as the little
Fresh
ones.
fish. The fresh fish always taste best.
Shrimp.
So there's my analogy, metaphor, whatever.
Yeah.
for the-
I think the other thing about this whole subject is that the schools, just like they did in theater training, the film schools are not doing their job. They are spending unbelievable amount of energy teaching the student how to make a film, but spending practically no energy teaching the student how to sell a film. And so we got all these films in hard drives, in people's hard drives.
Yeah,
Good
well, I mean,
film,
you're
good
right.
work.
You're right there, Philip. And it's funny, even when you go to a film market, you see films. I remember seeing a film at the Marché de Film in 2015 at the Cannes Film Festival on a big stand, and it was Donald Sutherland and Kiefer Sutherland in a Western, starring together side by side. And this stand, whoever this sales agent was trying to sell this film. Now, I've never seen it released. I didn't
No.
even know it existed until I saw the poster. So even the films that are on the hard drives, they still have to get to the stand, to the poster, to the buyer, to the distributor,
Exactly.
to the theatre. It's a hard game. And if you cut out all those middle people, you end up with a much clearer route to market. It's a really, really good point you're raising here, Philip. It really is. So,
Absolutely.
Philip, give us a little bit more about your
And so
background.
my sense is,
Okay.
if we can create and use this CD in this trunk,
Totally.
and we can encourage these new film schools. They're exploding. They're happening all over the place. They're going everywhere, right?
Yeah.
If we can encourage them to partner with us in the creation of this new, as Simon says, distribution model, then we can move pretty fast.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Could I ask something here, Lucas?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
I'm sure you guys maybe already do this, but to sort of move away from the analogy, what I am really craving at the moment is a hardcore comparative analysis between all the different potential CDs and trunks that we have at our disposal. So video versus YouTube versus Instagram marketing versus viral web campaigns versus building a virtual world versus a
Yes,
non-film
and we
related
talk about where we need to start.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can use analogies up to a certain point, maybe for their motivation, but if we're actually going to look at the nuts and bolts of, okay, so if you're going to create a market for your film using social media, which out of all the platforms should you use, what budget, it gets you what are the case studies of success?
So I think it starts off fundamentally, Beth, with understanding who the audience actually is.
Exactly.
How many numbers there are of that potential audience, and then working out a way of targeting them, but only going through one funnel. Because if it's online, if it's one link, it's one link. I mean, you could use several links and do different things, but you're going to need to monetize that funnel. And the best thing, I mean, we've always said this: if you want to build audience, if you want to get your film created, first of all, you need to come to a producer with audience. The producer's always going to say to you, "Who's the audience?" And if you've got a list of email addresses, this is our audience. They've signed up to the website saying they want to see the first trailer. They've signed up to the website because they want to be involved in the crowdfunding campaign or whatever it is. If you've got those email addresses established, you can do things like lookalike audiences on YouTube, lookalike audiences on Facebook, lookalike audiences on Twitter. And what I say about lookalike audiences, you can give them the email addresses. This is where data becomes incredibly powerful for filmmakers. You give them the email addresses, and then the algorithm will look at the demographic collection of, say, your 1,000 email addresses, and they'll find 1 million people like that, and they'll service your film to that 1 million people. A really, really, really great a great person to follow would be, funnily enough, Stephen Follows. He's a blog writer, and he's an analytical guy, and he talks about different establishments of distribution and things versus different things and stuff like that. It's, if you're creating feature content and you want to go down the distribution route and you want to self-distribute, it's key to get it in as many places as possible, airlines, all that sort of stuff. But if you're trying to basically go down the online route and just get it in one area, a really good example would be the High Maintenance TV show on Vimeo. Have we already spoken about this, Beth? I think we might have done. The High Maintenance, it was like a web series that was on Vimeo on demand. Hardly anybody uses Vimeo on demand apart from Liftoff that we know of. There's loads and loads and loads of like Sundance shorts and stuff like that on there. But High Maintenance got really good traction in like 4 or 5 years ago. It was a TV show, sort of 20-minute long skits. The first 3 episodes were for free, and then the last like 6 episodes were like $1.50 or $2.50 or something like that. And the first 3 episodes hooked you in, and then you were like, well, I've got to watch the rest. And every story was completely different, but they made it for that platform. They knew that they could offer up certain content for free, and then the rest of the content would be paid for. And it's like the Patreon thing at the moment. If you look at the Patreon, how you go to like YouTube and you see there are YouTube people out there literally doing what I'm doing right now and getting people, giving them $2.99 a month or whatever, and getting tons and tons of subscribers. So that the market is definitely there. There are definitely people out there willing to pay for content. It's just the fact of you being able to kind of not snare them, but gain their interest through some form of free content first. It's why the trailer is so incredibly powerful, because the trailer is free content that invites you. It almost tells the entire story, but it gives you an idea as to what to expect. And then that says to you immediately, it unlocks your, shall I pay $12 at the cinema to go and watch this? Shall I pay 15, 20, whatever? And the trailer gives you that idea, and then you're like, yeah, I'm gonna spend my money on that. So as an independent filmmaker, what we've noticed is that trailer needs to be a lot bigger, because you have to generate a sense of trust in the fact that your content's going to be of a high quality, your content's going to be pleasing and satisfying, and that your storytelling is going to be good as well. And also at the same time that you're not shying away from the fact that you will be charging for the content later. So it's always the formula hasn't yet been firmly established because it hasn't been around for that long. I mean, the internet hasn't been around for that long, so there's still no real set path, and there are still people going out there and changing the way that things are done. But High Maintenance on Vimeo on Demand was a really good example. They sold to HBO for millions, and now I think they've made it on HBO. And and there's all sorts of opportunities there, but it all depends on how you decide to kind of position it yourself, and you've got to take the risks. But definitely look for those examples and see what worked. But I think personally, one place, lots of spread.
Sorry, can I just jump in here?
I understand what Beth is pointing to, though, and correct me if I'm wrong, Beth. What she's pointing to, though, is someone doing what you just did for that particular platform and that particular project. Someone doing the research on all of this stuff and letting us see, oh, well, this works well if you take this kind of approach, and this works well in this case. Isn't that what you were talking about, Beth?
I guess I was just, my partner will tell you this as well. My liking for analogies goes up to a certain point, and then I'm very practically minded, so I actually want to talk about a realistic tool. But in terms of what you said, Philip, I just want someone to do that for me, and I think this is why Liftoff is so amazing. I want to bring my project to someone who is way more business minded than me, lay out, okay, here are my criteria, here's my objectives, here's the audience, here's the quality of the project, here's what I can bring, here's sort of my values in the creative process. And then I want someone to tell me, okay, well, you need to run this many Instagram ads for this dollar spend per day, and you need to aim to have it before in the film market sort of in 6 months time, and to get there you need to produce X, Y, and Z versus pitching material.
Well, we're going to do that for you, Beth, so don't worry.
Not just
We'll have a look at
tell
that.
you that,
Without
but
a doubt.
show you that it works.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is the service that Lipdot provides, and I'm just dreaming of someone to do all of that business thinking for me.
Oh, Beth, you'll be surprised. I tell you now, you'll be surprised just how incredible you are at it. I mean, this is another thing that kind of, it doesn't rile me, but it does get on my nerves a little bit sometimes. Creatives are excellent marketeers. All the major marketing companies in London, New York, Los Angeles, they're packed with people that are either script writers, actors. They did creative degrees. You know, marketing is a really creative pursuit. And if you can unlock the creativity aspect of it, which I know you can, Beth. I've seen the stuff that you guys make.
That's so
Like
beautiful.
you can lock stuff in. You're basically, your audience, Beth, is you. You are like your type of person is your type of audience. Because I've seen the work that you make. You make work for yourself to enjoy, the sort of stuff that you would absolutely love. So it won't be difficult for you to find people like you. You know where people like you exist. So it's a case of finding a very small percentage of them, say 1% of them, which equates to 2 million people, and getting them to give you $2.50.
But the fact that these questions are even coming into your mind shows that you're on
And
the
the
right
reason why that's true,
wavelength.
James, quickly.
Yes,
the
exactly.
reason why that's true, that actually creatives
Exactly, Natalie, exactly.
are excellent marketers.
Yeah.
The base reason why that's true is because of the passion.
Yeah.
The salesperson is just, I'm just selling it to try and make money. But the creative is selling it because they truly believe in it and they're excited about it. And that's good marketing.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm getting a bit conscious that we've got Claire and Natalie here asking questions and we're not being heard. Might need to put this microphone up a little bit. But no, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Natalie, did you ask a question?
Yeah, so I wanted to backtrack to near enough the beginning of when you started to talk, Bethany. James has this amazing saying, so I'm going to kind of put you on the spot now. So when
Me or James?
No, James.
Me.
When he went to the producers' lab in Cannes, there was a fantastic story about how this firefighter made a film, and it was how he found his audience. So James, do you want to take over? Because it's...
Oh, I tell the story.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Okay, you
putting
want me
on
to tell the
spot.
story? Okay, fine. So, you can tell the story.
No, I don't want to get my facts wrong.
Oh, damn it.
Tell a story.
Okay.
Alternative.
All right. I keep trying to stop this from being the James show, but like they don't let me. They just keep telling me to tell stories. Right. Okay. So basically, a really short story at the Cannes production. It was the producers' course at the Cannes Film Festival. I don't know what's worse, people that name drop or people that location drop. I'm going to do both. So basically, there's this guy that stood up on stage. I can't remember his name. He's a famous producer. He was talking about how he got his film off the ground for Ladder 42, I think the film was called. And he basically sent one email to the National Firefighters Association of America, and that one email included a link to an application form. And on the application form, it said, is this scenario realistic? Is this scenario realistic? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? All application forms that are filled in full. Give us your email address and we'll tell you when the film's going to be released. That was it. They got 2 million replies
That's brilliant.
because they sent it to
Wait a
every
minute,
single
they
fire
sent
station in the
They
country.
sent it to the association members, or they sent it to the association?
They just sent it to the association, and the association forwarded it to every single fire station in the country. So one email
association
to
took
one
action.
association
Yes.
forwarded to every single firefighter in America, and they went through giving their advice. And then they took all that producer did was just went to Paramount Studios and went, here's 2 million email addresses of all the firefighters in the nation that have all got some sort of vested interest in this film that will probably come and see it. Oh, by the way, the most amount of email addresses came from these particular areas, I suggest we have a longer cinema screening in those areas.
Right.
Boom.
I mean, that's just like cha-ching, cha-ching. And there's so many. I mean, you could do that with dentists. You could do that with. You could do that with. You could do that with. Help me! Help me! Ambulance service. Okay, yeah.
With
That is the firefighter.
wine.
Oh, some cool tunes.
With wine producers.
Sorry.
And wine.
Carry on, Philip. Line producers, you were saying.
I was saying that I've got a film that's called Wine Game, my newest film, right? And we're gonna, we're working the festival circuit. Once we build up a little reputation there, I'm planning to go directly to the vineyards and go, you want to buy some of this? You want to get in on this? And maybe, James, you just given me an easier way to do it. Maybe there's some association. I just go to the association, let them reach out to their members.
Yeah.
That's a
definitely.
wonderful idea.
Oh God, there's so many. I mean, we've had some really cool examples of people getting audiences to our festivals and stuff. One year, a Canadian filmmaker came out to the Tokyo Liftoff Film Festival, which is happening in the beginning of June, by the way, guys. We're only doing it online. So Tokyo Liftoff in June, the whole month of June, Tokyo Liftoff. It's happening. It's going to be awesome. Basically, we're doing we had this guy screening his film at Tokyo Liftoff Film Festival. We always, at the beginning of doing Tokyo Liftoff, always struggled for audience. It was really hard to work out the which press releases to send out, all that sort of stuff. He went straight to the Canadian Embassy, sent an email to the Canadian Embassy and said, in Tokyo, hey Canadian Embassy in Tokyo, I'm a Canadian filmmaker and I'm screening at this cinema venue. I would love for you to email all the expats and let them know that it's happening. And all these Canadian people turned up to the screening that all live in Tokyo. And we were packed. We were just wow, so ingenuitive.
So the interesting thing, tying in what Philip just said about wine, but going back to what James you were saying about the firefighters. What's important there is the producer who went to the firefighters union or whatever didn't ask them, hey, do you want a piece of this?
Exactly.
No.
They asked for advice.
Uh-huh.
They said,
100%.
"We'd like your feedback.
Yeah.
What do your
observation.
union members think about this?"
Yeah.
And then they were able to turn that around. So if you went to the wine growers and said, hey, does this scenario sound
Does
more
this
realistic
work?
than that scenario?
Yeah.
Then you'll get
Yeah.
feedback.
Exactly, Simon.
That's
It's a
very
great
good.
it's a great
Simon,
example.
I'll use that. Thank you.
No, it's a great
gonna-
example. I think that
I'm
Simon, Natalie's
gonna
going to write that down for a
okay.
workshop on Friday.
I will.
Well,
We're getting a tour of
we're getting a tour of Simon's house.
Hey.
The camera's up so we don't see all the dirty clothes on the floor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Welcome to my crib.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, okay, Philip. Well, we're I hope dedicating half an hour to each of you today. So we're going to move on to Beth now, if that's okay. So, Beth, if you want to sort of introduce yourself and sort of tell us your experience with filmmaking so far, your experience with Liftoff so far, etc., etc. We'd love for everyone who's watching to find out a little bit about what you're up to.
So I talked about my little media company, Info Studio.
Yep.
And under Info Studio, in terms of film work, we've created 3 short films. 2 of them were student projects that then kind of indicated that film was maybe a good way for my partner and I to work together on speculative sci-fi scenarios. We didn't sort of pick it up before. I'm very interested in emerging technologies and their impact on different aspects of society. So we made those 2 films. They've screened at a lot of festivals. One of them won Best Short at Sci-Fi London in 2017. And now, in terms of film work, we've got a couple of other projects sort of in development. I'm not sure, James, what you want me to talk about there, but it was sort of on the back of wanting to create more work and having these quite ambitious projects in mind or being conceptually developed that we moved from London, where we were for the last 5 years, to Los Angeles last September. And since we've been here, we've put together a small team for the pilot of a narrative anthology of short films that we're developing. and we were hoping to shoot that pilot later in the year. So we've got a director and a producer, and I've just sort of been getting to know Hollywood and networking and trying to make those connections and friends with checkbooks and phone lines to Netflix. And it's been fascinating because it's so more old-fashioned than I thought it was going to be.
Oh God, isn't it just? Especially in Los Angeles, it's crazy how it is. Yeah.
That's such a great example, I guess, of like knowing what you want and just going after and doing it. Upping your roots to a different country. I just think it's such a great example.
Yeah, you really are a great example, Claire.
Yeah, you're very inspiring.
Yeah, definitely, Beth. It's an inspiration to see what you guys have been doing over the last like year or so. It's been wicked. It's been wicked. So right, let's talk about the plan. Right. So at this current stage, you are what? What do you classify yourself as?
In terms of me personally, or my work, or my
your creativity, or your work, your creativity. Are you a director? Are you an art director? Are you a producer? Are you a runner?
You're a writer.
You're a writer.
I'm principally a writer. I do video editing, and then my company, sort of with Nathan, my partner, we do VFX and 3D environment design.
Okay, because personally, this is my own personal opinion, I would say that you are a producer.
Just, I like that.
Just based on that, just based on the way that you talk, the energy that you bring to your work, the fact that you're trying to get the things that you're writing off the ground and you're doing as much as you possibly can to make that happen. If you were a writer, I would suggest that you go and find a writer's agent and you become a writer and start sending concepts to all the big studios. But I don't think you are that. I think you're more of a. I mean, the fact that you got Dust, the guy that made Dust, into the script read through that we did the other day. We did a private script reading via YouTube with a Google Hangout. So we had Beth's director, we had Beth's partner in there, and we had a whole bunch of other people. What were they? They were like genius feedback people or whatever. What were they called? Expert feedback or something?
Oh, we had a critics panel.
A critics panel, that's what it's called. Not a genius bar. A critics panel.
I like that.
Yeah. It was a critics panel. And you had the guy from Dust. I mean, they've got like over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Sounds fantastic. It was great that you managed to get those people there. And it's testament to your ingenuity. I think you need to take that a lot further and push as much as you possibly can to expand your knowledge base in that arena, because you're identifying that things are out of date. You're identifying that the methods are older. That's probably because those methods aren't for you. Those routes to the checkbooks aren't the right routes for you. You need to be going to other places. Maybe you're gonna fund all of your work via cryptocurrency. Maybe it's going to be some other way. Maybe you should be knocking on doors at Silicon Valley rather than knocking on doors at Hollywood. Maybe there's an opportunity there instead of an opportunity here. You know, it's that you're in the right state, in the right country to get this kind of work that you're trying to make happen. But I don't necessarily think that your project is in the right city.
San Francisco.
I think your project needs to be pushed in San Francisco. I think that everyone that's interested in the stuff that you're interested in lives there. I don't think that you should move there. I don't think that you should like shoot there or anything like that. I think you should use the filmmaking aspect of what you're trying to do for your work to keep it in LA. But I think that the kind of stuff that you're doing, there you will find so many people that have never considered themselves to be producers or executive producers before. As soon as you show them the kind of work that you do, and I'm telling you guys, the work that Beth does, it's excellent. The stuff that they do it's groundbreakingly awesome. And it's so incredibly, it's all on a shoestring budget, and it's awesome. It is, isn't it, Beth? It is good.
Yes.
But it is. It's good. It's really good. And it's
I haven't seen the work, but I do hear the kind of things that she's been talking about. And having raised my son in San Francisco and lived for a couple of years in San Jose, I know the Bay Area very well. And I would agree, James, she may be into something that they would love, that the non-creatives, for want of a better word, could really get excited about and lead her to some stuff that even she hadn't thought about.
No, exactly. I mean, the guys that invented Snapchat could just give you $2 million. Like, that.
Snap.
Snap, like snap, like snap. But
Because they
it's
get
true.
it. Because they get it. They
They get
understand
it. Exactly, they get it.
how this can revolutionize things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're your producers. They're your people. And you've got to remember, Netflix isn't a bunch of movie people. Netflix is a bunch of coders. You know, that's who they are. That's where they started. They're coders. So like you can. That's why it's like Love, Death and Robots is on there. It's why Amazon Prime is now doing the Picard series, and why they also did Tales Beyond the Loop, Tales from the Loop, Tales from the Loop. Yeah. I mean, amazing, right? But like,
Yeah,
that's
definitely
Amazon.
seen
That's
it
Jeff.
online.
That's Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is a tech guy, so their content is always they're always going to favor tech-based content. And all of your work is about artificial intelligence and the transhuman singularity. So like, you've got to go fishing for those types of fish, to use Simon's analogy. It's key. It's key. Don't get caught in the Hollywood paradigm. You're in the right place to get the right people to make the work, but you've got to go somewhere else to get the work funded.
Oh, that's
James,
very exciting.
you defined her with a word that we use all the time, and I think we all have different definitions for this word,
Right.
and that word is producer.
Yeah.
How do you define producer?
Producer to me is the god of the project. the one that has the genuine final
I
say.
like that.
The one who has the genuine final say.
Okay, how about this one?
And also the one that creates the
Yeah.
the being
Yeah.
that makes the stuff.
Yeah. Beth,
Yeah.
watch Dangerous Days. Watch Dangerous Days, the making of Blade Runner. It's a 3.5-hour documentary all about the making of Blade Runner. You will find some really great inspirational stuff in there. I highly recommend that you head to the weed shop first before you get before you get tucked into it, because good.
So I'm going to give another analogy. So I see the writer as the person who gathers up, who designs the Chanel clothing, right? The Chanel dress. The writer is the one who decides this is the silhouette. And I see the director as the one who goes out and gets the fabric and actually sews it together.
Yeah.
And I see the producer as the one who comes along and says, okay, let's put one more button right there and let's move the zipper half an inch to the right. Now it's perfect. It's that team of everyone coming together.
Yeah.
But the producer has to have the final, we all say it's the director, but ultimately I lean on the producer, because the producer is going to be the one who's going to have to try and sell it initially and in the end run. They need to have the vision to see what does this whole thing look like, not just what does the script look like and what does the director want to do with it, but what is the project.
Yeah.
So
The producer's also telling the director where to buy those buttons and zips.
Oh, totally.
right.
Totally.
And by the way, Beth, you might also want to, someone mentioned Jeff Bezos, you should go to Silicon Forest, which is the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, that's Seattle, right?
That's Seattle and Portland, Oregon.
Seattle and Portland, yeah.
That's, I mean, where is Amazon based? Seattle.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's going to be a ton of AI companies out there that there's a really great, it's a crazy talk that happened at South by Southwest either last year or the year before last by a guy who was talking about whether or not we're living in a simulation, and he used to be an engineer at Facebook, and he developed a hack for a mobile phone that would enable most cars that have been built since 2016 to be self-driving cars. And he's a crazy dude, but he's got a lot of money and he would be able to help you. The thing is, you've just got to go in with like an open plan of like, right, you're the type of people that I'm making this content for. You're the type of people that I want to kind of like embrace this content initially so we can send it out to the wider world. All I want from you is an excited yes or a quick no. Can you give me some money to make this project a reality? Can we see if we can find the best possible platform for it together? Can you help me bring this together? I want to bring you in as executive producers. We just need to meet once a month, just via Skype or whatever, via Google Hangouts, whatever it is. Just once a month we need to meet and just sort of talk about our ideas, come together with some thoughts and feelings, and just get them to be like invested in your idea. And then before you know it, Beth, you'll be creating work that they'll love, because we're all consumers of content, and we all want to be producers, really, and we all kind of we would invest. I've always thought this: if you had a spare $100 in your back pocket, and the right person came up to you with the right kind of project that was right for you, and you wanted to watch that project, you would give them $100. So there's people out there that have got more than that in their back pocket that love to consume the type of content. I mean, could you imagine how many executive producers there would have been for Picard if they'd had opened that up to crowdfunding? Like, there's so many people out there that love that stuff that are going to be like, yes, 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 yes. You know, so like, I think go for it. Like, try and get a stand at Comic-Con. Try and like get like a big flipping projector projecting all your stuff. Say you're just looking for people to invest in your project. Do that. Just go off and just find these incredible people that absolutely understand artificial intelligence and get what you're trying to do. It's cool.
You're clearly passionate about what you're doing, so it will sell.
I'm passionate about what you're doing.
Yeah. You have one investor.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to fly out there right now and make it happen. I can't!
Yeah, you don't want to fly into this country.
No! Goodness me, yeah, I know. Flippin' X. It's been pretty bad over here as well, to be fair. It's awful.
Yeah.
Cool,
Yeah.
so Beth, any other questions? You have any questions?
I guess that has given me a very exciting new direction, because I
Good.
was wondering about stuff like it's fellowship time in Los Angeles, which means that online writers forums are all abuzz with CBS, Walt Disney, various types of writing and screenwriting fellowships. And I was wondering what your take on those were.
Well, I think you need to completely and utterly ignore it for the time being and focus on getting as much money as possible behind your project. I think that like
Awesome.
the money's going to set you free. So like don't get too locked into the Hollywood system, because yes, you may get your work produced, but you're not going to have full control over it. You're not going to make any money out of it.
Any control over it.
No, you won't have any control over it. Someone will take over it, and before you know it, there'll be some flipping Ronald McDonald sat in the back screen, and it'll be like a McDonald's advert, and you'll be like, damn. They'll be like, yeah, but we've got Brad Pitt, and you'll be like, yeah, but I don't care. This isn't what I made. This isn't what I tried to make. You know, just stay in control for as much as you possibly can. Bring in people that you are creatively connected with. Bring in people that you really, really, really like. Only work with people that you like. Get out there and meet the people that you think are like you, that will understand what you're trying to do, and just make it happen.
Great. Awesome.
We're going to bring you back for episode 10. We'll see where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And next week we'll be bringing people back for episode 11. We'll add 10 episodes on, and then we'll just keep coming back and see where everyone is, because I'm sure we're going to learn so much from each other. And we hope you guys can be in the chat room for next week. We'll post on the Facebook page, just to remind everybody at home what the Facebook network page is. So the Facebook network page it's not the Liftoff Global Network Facebook page. It's the Liftoff Global Network members Facebook page, which is a closed area. If you're a member to the Liftoff Global Network platform, you can gain access to there. Just simply go to the page and request to join and tell us your username. We'll cross-reference it and get you in there. And we can continue the conversation with Simon, Philip and Beth. We can all chat about what's happening. We can talk about what's going on, and we can really build this and make it something that Liftoff has always tried to be, which is a community of filmmakers that all give a shit about each other. And then that's YouTube pulling the video right now, because I just said shit twice. 3 times.
Oh, I thought it should have been shite.
Oh yeah, shite. Give a shite.
You probably already know it, but let me say it. We so appreciate you guys' efforts in building that.
Oh, it's...
It's not perfect, but there's nothing perfect yet.
I'm just going to cut Philip on the call now a second. Here we
You
go.
guys are working
He's good.
on doing exactly what you just said.
Thanks, buddy.
And that we need badly.
Yeah,
And
well...
so thank you.
Well, you haven't met my wife. She's perfect.
Oh,
Okay. All right.
she's just behind
That's
the
why you
computer,
married
isn't she,
her.
Simon?
Is she listening?
She's listening.
She's the other one.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for today. It's been brilliant.
It was so
And
nice to talk to you all.
really great to talk to you all.
Really fun.
Claire, Natalie, do you have anything to say just before we
No,
close?
It was wonderful to see you again, Philip and Bethany. It's always a pleasure. And Simon, I look forward to following your journey and seeing how we can help you.
Yeah, great
Thank you.
stuff.
Sounds good.
All right, take care, guys. We're stopping the stream right
Can
now.
I quickly say something?
Yeah, of course, Beth.
How
Please
do
do.
Philip, Simon, how do I find you? How do I find your work?
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
I don't know. How do we?
Head to the
well,
This is what you do. This is what you do right now. You go to the network
let's
members
hook up
page.
In the,
Yes.
Let's hook up on the member page.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Philip. You're doing my work
Let's
for
start
me.
there.
Yeah, perfect.
It'll cause us to be giving the right example as well.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right, I will
Cool.
see you
Yeah,
there.
you've
Yeah.
all been
All right,
tagged in the
perfect.
post so you can find each other with ease.
Yeah, wicked. Wicked. Great stuff, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you to our chat room. Any questions, last minute questions from the chat room?
I don't think we've got anything
It's all
else.
good?
Thank you everyone for joining us
Okay,
in
perfect.
Webex.
Thank you so much, guys. We are really excited about these episodes and we can't wait to be there or to be here next week. Same time, same
Perfect.
place. Take care, guys. Stay
See you
safe.
later.
Adios.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.